Welcome to another powerful episode of the High Vibe Honey podcast, the space where self-mastery meets soul expression and big-hearted women come to expand into their highest, most authentic leadership era. Today's guest is an absolute force, Georgina Capdevila, known on Instagram as Miss Afterglow. She's a voice alchemist, mentor, and medicine singer, guiding visionary women and leaders to unleash their power by liberating their voice and creative expression. Georgina's newest offering, Voices of the Earth, is a deep, sacred immersion, an invitation to birth your soul song with the plant realm as your ally. This isn't just about singing, this is about soul reclamation, sacred artistry, and weaving our voices back into the song of the earth. In this episode, we're diving into something that we all probably feel on some level, the fear, shame, or judgment that can live in our throat, in our story, and in the way that we share our truth. So we're going to be talking about how we may have been conditioned to modulate and mask our voice to be liked, accepted, or respected. We're going to be talking about Georgina's own journey from downplaying her voice to now channeling it with sacred, untamed power, and the energetic connection between womb, heart, and voice, and how this trinity is a portal to deep feminine expression and leadership. I just know this conversation is going to be amazing, and you're going to want to share it with every woman in your world, everyone who you love. So if you're going through this and you're getting some big insights or aha moments, please feel free to take a screenshot, share it to your stories, tag us both at Miss Afterglow and Katie Rogers Coaching. And if you want to, we would love for you to be part of this conversation as well. So feel free to slide into the DMs with any of your takeaways. I do read all of my messages and I love having you as part of this conversation. So follow along. And yeah, welcome in to this soul expanding conversation. Hi, Georgina.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Katie, for this beautiful introduction and for inviting me to be part of this beautiful space today. I feel very honored and I cannot wait to have this chat with you, which I feel is gonna be very powerful for everyone
Yes,
watching. So let's dive into it. Let's see where spirit guides us to go.
absolutely. And I feel again like you're just one of these people who just landed in my life, into my field of awareness at just the right time. Um, And as I was sharing on my podcast episode 8 with Anna, that I was reconnecting with my womb. I've been called to sort of reconnect to this part of my body. And I've also been very much called to reconnect with my voice as well. So here's a little bit of insight behind the scenes for you lot. If you listen to my episode 6, which is all about my story, I wanted to know I actually recorded that twice. The first time that I recorded it, I listened back to it and I thought, oh my gosh, I sound really girly, like very high pitched, very soft, like really young. And it is an emotional and vulnerable story, but I wanted to share it more in my power. And so I re-recorded that from a voice that was way more like grounded and potent. And I feel actually really happy that I redid that. And it got me thinking about my voice. Like, why was that such a trigger for me in in a way. And I remembered when my mum had been telling this story about when I was a little girl, and she had been sharing about how when I was younger, I would be this really pretty, cute little girl, and she'd put me in these nice dresses, but I wouldn't want to wear them unless I was allowed to wear my wellies as well. I want to like leave the house wearing these welly boots. And she said I would just have this really deep voice, and everyone would be really surprised when I spoke. And I thought, I bet I took that on at some point somewhere and made that mean I had to adapt my voice to be liked and accepted. And so at this point in my journey now, I'm being called to reimagine the relationship that I have with my voice. And then so enter Georgina just shows up in my world and has all this incredible wisdom and knowledge. And the way that she speaks about the power of our voice was so powerful. I am just so excited to share more of your wisdom with everyone. So we've shared a bit about my journey, but enough about me. I really want to hear more about your journey. I heard you speak recently, and I know you said that at one point you kind of pretended to not enjoy singing. So to go from there to the Georgina that I know today, this must have been quite a journey. So let's walk us through that process.
Oh my God, what a journey it's been. First of all, I wanna thank you for also like sharing your story, and sharing, like how you went through like this transformation. And this is really the process of voice awakening, like you realizing, yo, this is not me. Like this frequency that I'm hearing and what I'm creating and what I'm putting out there, it
Hmm.
doesn't sound like truth. And that is something that, especially as for us women, it is felt. We are psychic, we are channels. We know when someone is really talking from a space of deep connection with her
Yeah.
truth, and when something is coming maybe more from the mind or from the expectations or from an identity that maybe you have created for yourself to just thrive in this idea that you thought you had to embody in order to be successful in whatever you're doing. No, like there's so many
Hmm.
layers to this, and I'm going to talk about my own journey as well, of course, stepping into this mission, no, and to really my truthful voice. But I just wanted to honor, yeah, having the courage yourself to just go and share this story and just recognize, I had been masking my voice, like we all do. And this is like the message for
Yeah.
all women out there. We have all been conditioned to think, to act, to move, to express ourselves in particular way, following society's standards. And
Hmm.
and we all come from this space when we are kids, where we are so connected with our creative expression, with our innate area of genius, with our artistry. Like, who didn't love to sing, to dance, to paint, to draw, to create when we were kids? Like, all of us enjoy that, and that's the essence that we are now sort of like remembering and coming back to terms with, and learning how to shed the layers so that this inner artistry that we all hold, we are all artists, and this is something I strongly believe. And if you're in my world, I'm like, I'm sorry if you didn't know, but if you're drawn to my world deep down, you're craving to be an artist. So let's step into this identity together. But like, it's beautiful to do this work because you realize that, yeah, each one of us hold this true expression that desires to come out, and it's more about dropping into the heart, into what is feeling like truth, what is bringing you aliveness, what is bringing you passion to put out there to create. And remember that that is you, not the stories you have built about yourself, not the voices you have had to learn to create and generate in order to fit in order to feel like you belong, in order to be liked, to be accepted by others. No, and it's like this journey of reclamation, of realizing, I have a unique frequency that I'm here to share, and I'm gonna share it unapologetically, no? And this in a way is what describes this, what I call this voice awakening journey, which at the end of the day is just a journey of remembrance of what is this unique frequency that you hold. What is this melody that you are here to share with the world? It goes beyond you creating music. Like, if that is not your desire to create music, don't do it. But when you look at music as just an artistic outlet, you realize that when we create the content, when we create the stories, when we create our offers, it's all art, no? So it's also emanating a specific frequency. So, this journey of us reclaiming our true voice really is the sacred remembrance of the uniqueness, not the medicine that each one of us carry, which is always going to be
Mm.
unique. It's always going to sound, feel, look different to each one of us. And that's how it's supposed to be, and it's the magic of reclaiming your uniqueness as a gift to the world, and daring not to channel it, and to share it with others from a space of truth, of deep connection to your soul. And that just came through like that. Just the tangent,
I,
but it's beautiful
yeah.
to share this, a little bit of context, on, okay, what is the framework, what are the ideals that we are really like responding to in this conversation.
Yeah, I love this so much. And in joining one of your sessions recently, I just loved how you contextualized it with this isn't about sharing something so it sounds good. This is just about
Mm.
sharing your vibrational frequency. And it got me thinking too, when I was teaching yoga, and if I was teaching either Ashtanga or Dharma, there'd be like an opening song and a closing song, essentially. And I would share those and I would sing those proudly and loudly in front of a room of people. And it was interesting because when I signed up to your offer recently, I thought, I do want to connect to my voice, but I don't think I want to sing. So I don't know if this is for me. But if you know me, the way that I experience my life now, my world now, is if I notice there's some resistance, I'm like, well, why don't I want to sing? There's something there. What is it that I'm afraid of? What is it that I'm avoiding? And so I just hit checkout and I joined.
When there is resistance, is only there's only the biggest gifts for our soul,
Yeah,
no?
totally.
But I hear you, and like the work that we do with like voice liberation, it really is deep liberation work for women, especially as women. And we're
Mm.
gonna go into like talking about, okay, what is the connection between the throat and the womb? It is vulnerable because in opening up that channel, you unleash your true
Yeah.
power. You embody the truth of who you are. because
Hmm.
frequency doesn't lie. So what you're putting out there, how you're communicating, how you are like bringing presence into a room, that is emanating a frequency, and that creates a music, and that music can be felt and can be
Yeah.
perceived, no? So really, that to say that, yeah, like this work is really vulnerable, and the ego mind, whenever you're about to just quantum leap into another portal of deepest truth, no, it freaks out. It's like, yo, I'm
Mhm.
not feeling comfortable in this space. This is gonna be too vulnerable to be witnessed in my artistry, in my sacred expression. It's deep work, no? So it really takes a lot of courage and bravery to say yes to doing this, because yeah, at the end of the day, you will be faced with, okay, what are these stories you've told about yourself? What are these
Mhm.
things that have been holding you back? What is this truth that you've been hiding away from sharing, not only for with others, but to yourself, which ultimately that is the
Yeah.
true liberation, no? So yeah, that to say that I hear all of that, and it's just completely natural, no? If you're entering doing this type of work to feel those resistances. And if you are just like us, no, who are women here who are here to build like big legacies, like we know where there is resistances, there is
Hmm.
power to be unleashed, no? And we decide to go all in, and it's like, okay, another one, another initiation spirit, yes. we are in that constant dance, no, between feeling the fear but feeling that pulse, no, and doing it anyway, because that's
Yeah.
really what makes us feel alive and really feeling on purpose, no? So I love us and everyone watching as well for leaning in and doing this type of work of sharing your soul's gifts,
Hmm.
because this is next level healing for the whole of humanity. I really believe that.
Totally. And, I spent a long time resisting the calling. And now when I feel that nudge of, hey, reconnect with your womb, reconnect with your voice, I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow this and just flow into it and see where that leads me. And as you say, the level of resistance is equal to the level of power on the other side of it. I've experienced that in my journey. I continue to witness it with my clients, and I love walking this path. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm curious to know about your experience of this. Was this a channel that was always open for you, or is this something that grew and evolved as you walked this path?
I love this question. Yeah, my journey with my own voice has been my own initiation into the woman that I am today, into the woman that I'm becoming more of every single day, and remembering more of. Because the truth is that I've always been like all of us as women, especially, I've always felt like a deep connection to intuition, to spirit, to a force that I could not like tangible see or feel. But the truth is that I spent a lifetime suppressing that innate ability to see through, the veil, to feel that intuition. Like, we are super psychic as women, and sometimes in order to fit in or to feel like we belong or to not be like intimidate others, right, we suppress that inner power. So essentially I knew that my voice was a channel for something very powerful, for a medicine that was like next level powerful. But the truth is that I spent a lifetime suppressing it. I spent a lifetime people pleasing, holding back from sharing the truth, because every time that I did it, it made others uncomfortable, or it triggered them, because it's almost like I could hear people's emotions and thoughts. So imagine as a little kid being able to receive all this information that you don't have the emotional mastery to process or to
Hmm.
articulate, no, or to really share with anyone. One of the coping mechanisms of the ego is just shut that down and just pretend it's not there, and that voice just shrinks and shrinks, and it never goes away, because when you have that medicine inside, it never disappears. It's always there, no, waiting for you to uncover it and to become a channel for it. But that's the truth. I spent a lifetime not fully being truthful to myself and to others, and saying yes when I wanted to say no, not daring to put the boundaries, not daring to speak my needs, my desires. And that, of course, created so much trouble and so much suffering in my life, because I became someone that I didn't even recognize myself. It was so many masks in my voice, in how I spoke. And now looking back at my videos, it's the transformation is incredible. And I'm always saying, like, I'm the best testimonial of my work, because I am the one who had to walk through this threshold, no, of realizing where I was not being true to myself and not being a channel for the fear of being rejected, being just not yeah, not liked by others and not accepted by others, no? So that was my whole initiation. And it's very funny because I actually have been growing up with music around me all the time since I was a kid. You know, I studied music for more than 14 years. I played the flute, I sang in choirs, I played the flute in like big orchestras. You know, like that was like a regular study that I had every single week. And my mom was like super obsessed with like making us, because I'm one amongst two other siblings, like all of us went through musical studies. Like that was just something that she felt like we had to do, and I'm so grateful for her
Yeah.
for answering, you know, that to that call. But even though I knew all the theory, even though I knew I had a beautiful voice, I just didn't feel worthy of sharing it and taking up space with it. And I knew all the theory from the mind, you know, musical theory, all of the things. I even from a very young age started my entrepreneurship journey. So just at university, I already founded my first company with a brother of mine from the university, and we went on stages. We traveled the world. We gathered like hundreds and thousands of people in a room. I went on stages sharing my story as a young entrepreneur. Like I've been exposed to situations of me sharing my voice since a very young age. But
Mm.
and of course that created impact, no? And that's a message that I always share with my clients. Like even when you do not think that your voice is creating impact, it is still creating impact. Most of the times it's
Yeah.
your mind making you believe that this is not doing the work, right? That it's not creating the ripple effects. But there's always ripple effects happening of healing when you are using your voice. But what happens is that when you do it from a space of, I know that my voice is worth being shared, right? That my story is worth being listened to because it
Mhm.
inspires, it moves people, it transforms people. The level of impact then is just catapulted to the next level, no? So even though I had all the theory of music, I could not sing in front of others. Like I could not sing in front of others.
Wow.
My voice was shut down. Like it just didn't come through. Why? Because it was not connected to my heart and my womb. And this is something we can talk about later. But I could just not. My voice didn't come out. And every time I did it, I looked at the videos, I watched the videos, and I was like, I couldn't even watch myself singing or speaking. I didn't recognize that voice, and I was so like reluctant to even connect with it. I could not. And that's something that I've seen with a lot of women as well, no? Like this journey of, okay, just making peace
Yeah.
with that person, that woman that you were, and that expression is also part of this voice awakening journey, no? So it's all like a journey. It's a journey of shedding those layers. But you know, if you are still fighting with an identity in the past, you're still fighting with something that is still you right now, no? So it's been this whole journey of, okay, looking at all these parts of myself that I was so ashamed of sharing, you know, being also like super kind to myself for, you know, for doing my best at that point. Like I already did so
Yeah.
much with my voice, even if I could not take up space singing or dare to use, you know, my voice for speaking my desires, my boundaries. You know, I did my best with what I had at that point. And the important thing is that right now in the present moment, I have finally come to this space of realizing, yo, that was initiating me into the medicine that I'm here
Mhm.
to bring into the world, no? So a series of events happened, and I realized that all of that had to really be there for me so that I could recognize what was my true soul's mission. I realized it had to do with exactly that. But first of all, you know that when you're sharing your soul's gifts with the world, you're also being initiated into
Yes.
you becoming the embodiment, no, of that work, because otherwise it's not in integrity. So life
Yeah.
also always puts in front of you everything that you need so that you can really grow into the embodiment of your soul, no, and this gift that you're here to share. So it was only a little bit more than a year ago now. It was March 2024 that I had the realization, it hit me that I was meant to teach voice. And that's
Mm.
when, from overnight, I received that. At that point, I was there with my bestie, mentor, client, collaborator, Anna Gazal, that you already mentioned before. I was next to her and I could not hide from that. You know, like it just landed. I was like, "Yeah, oh my God, there's something there." And she was like, "You cannot unsee this now. Like, I'm gonna hold you accountable for this." I was like, shit. Like, no. My ego was like, no. And it was like a whole like identity shift, but overnight. Like overnight. Of course, life was preparing me for this, but it happened overnight. And I decided to step into a new identity from one day to the other. And I was like going live on my Instagram at that point. I was focusing more on like embodiment, like creative expression as well, but I was more focused on astrology as the symbolic language to really guide women to step into their power. And that's also like a language that I use for my clients currently in my own spaces, no? But that was like the whole thing. That was the core at that point. But then this realization hit me, and I just went live the following day and told everyone, yo, from now on, I'm a voice alchemist mentor. So come along in this journey because we are taking it up a notch here. I received the guidance. I cannot do anything about it. All I'm going to do is like fully lean in. So I had to embody that soul's calling of mine. And the funny thing is that everything started to fall into place in such a way. Like I started to see, yo, I'm more excited than ever to create the content, to create the offers. What is now my voice mastermind, like came channeled in 2 to 3 weeks. I already had a clear idea of the journey, the name, like everything started to come into place. And this is like the kind of flow, no, that infuses your life when you're really being true to yourself, no, and opening that channel, and when you're receiving the clarity and you decide to act on it, no, instead of like pushing it or repressing it or pretending it's not there, which is something that we
Yeah.
have always had to do in some point or another, no. But that's when I started to fully own that identity, and this is the work that I've been doing for the last year. And so grateful because honestly, I couldn't imagine a better thing to be doing with my time, with my energy, with my gifts right now than sharing women through this sacred reclamation. And the transformations of the people inside my world have been incredible. And I'm like so honored to be this carrier of this medicinal voice because it's been a wild journey, but something I would do all over again to be exactly where I am right now because this is truly priceless.
Oh, so beautiful and just so much gold in what you just shared. And the first time I'd heard of your work was through Anna, and she was sharing about how she'd been on this journey as well and done some work with you. And now she was going to be singing on stages and all of this thing. And I was like, wow, it's amazing. And just seeing how passionately she spoke about the work that she'd done with you and obviously hearing and seeing how embodied you are in your work now, I just think it's so magnetic. And as you say, we go through these paths and we're always being initiated into it, and it's only with hindsight when we can look back and think, oh, that era of my life that really taught me this. Went through that hard thing because I was showing to myself exactly where I was meant to get free. And if you haven't done this, I so recommend looking back through your journey, noticing those parts of you or those areas of your life where you might have held some shame or some regret around, and then noticing what was that era of my life really showing me? What did I learn through that? And when I was doing that practice, I went through and I thought, this is all me building up the tools of learning about emotional mastery, learning about somatics, learning about subconscious reprogramming, all the things that I teach now today was because I went through certain periods of my life. And I wrote a love letter to myself, which I shared through Instagram to show like how grateful I was for all these parts of me and how much I really wanted to own them and embody them, celebrate them, and just those realizations of how much I got through all of those experiences is really powerful. So yeah, I think probably not many people go to school and when someone says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I'm going to be a voice alchemist. But it gets born into existence the more you walk your path and embody the lessons that you're being initiated with. So I love this journey. So powerful. And yeah, so great to have this conversation. I wanted to ask you, so you spoke a little bit about this connection between womb, heart, and voice. Can you share more about this trinity and how it shows up in your work now?
Of course, I would love to talk about this. And I love that you just called it like this trinity because I've never used this term before, but actually it makes a lot of sense to use it, no, actively, because it is really like the portal. It's the portal of consciousness and deep feminine embodiment, especially for women. So when you look at it, I love to talk about it first of all from the more like physical perspective, anatomically, because when you realize that our human body is just this beautiful, sacred, ancestral technology where everything is weaved in and connected, it changes it all, no, for us, especially as women. And when I started to really like, okay, learn about the womb with Anna, I went into her womb mastermind, the Mystic Priestess Awakening, and it was an incredible journey that really unlocked so much for me. You know, it was deeply healing to go through that remembrance of realizing that, okay, sacred sexuality is also something that all of us who are being called to share our soul's gifts, like we are all here to pave a new way for the feminine. Like we are all here to bring, like I feel that the codes of the priestesses, like the codes that really bring about like balance and divine union into this realm. So that journey of coming into divine union first starts with yourself. It's the inner union of the masculine and the feminine. And me like going into connecting more with my womb, that was actually the first step in my own voice awakening journey, realizing how disconnected I was from my own body, from my own menstrual cycle, realizing how I was just so programmed into the doing, into the grinding, into the hustling. I felt guilty for taking time off when I was menstruating. I felt guilty for resting. I had always had to do something in order to feel a sense of worthiness as a woman. No, and realizing that and how that was creating this disconnection from myself and my deep feminine wisdom, which resides in our womb as women, that was like the whole turning point really of me awakening to my mission as a woman, no? And I started to really like understand the energetics of, yeah, the masculine, the feminine. I started to understand as well what happens in our womb, no? It's this portal of creation biologically, but also it's the portal of creativity. The life force of women comes from this space, no? So the womb being such a magnetic space because it's a receptive sort of like cauldron, no, of energy. It's the receptive energy, the yin energy. There's a lot of emotions that get stuck in this part of your body that if you do not find a way to work through that, it gets just stagnant and it creates blockages and it creates a lot of like trauma stored there that doesn't allow you to then fully step into your power. Because yeah, the womb is also related to your power as a woman. Your ability to connect with your sacred sexual energies is the source, is the fountain of everything in life, right? So I realized that I was deeply disconnected from the portal of creation myself, and I was doing a lot, but I was doing it from a space of I need to prove myself as a woman, no? And if I do not do, if I do not produce, I'm not worthy of receiving, no? And of course, like, you know, how that applies to like money, the energetics of abundance, it was like this whole like turning point in my life, no? But then as I started to really deeply understand the menstruation cycles and the energetics of, yeah, what it truly is to be a woman, and I made peace with that, I started to realize that there was something else to that. Like that was the entering point, not to my mission, but then I started to see, yo, there is something about the channel, no, that is also connected to how you express things out into the world. And I started to do my research as I awakened to this realization that I was meant to do this work, no, of voice liberation, voice alchemy. And I started to understand that actually, you know, this body that we have as women is just a sacred portal technology of pure wisdom and healing and consciousness. And I'm going to share here a little bit of the facts so that you can also relate to from a more mental perspective, and then we can talk about the energetics, no? But basically, when we look at the anatomy of our bodies, you see that there's like different things that just we didn't know, no one taught us, and that make a lot of sense, no, when you think about it. So basically, when you are a child, when you are like just a tiny little thing in your mother's belly, you know, in the development of an embryo, you realize that there was like, I think it's in the 15 weeks, like first pregnancy weeks, there is a membrane that over time starts to just build, but it's that membranes that where the anus and the mouth comes from. So essentially, this channel that we have along our spine that connects our throat, our mouth with the bottom of our spine, it's just coming from the same membrane in just the little tiny beautiful thing that we were in our mother's belly. So when you see that there's already like, okay, there is a connection happening since very early stages in your own development as a child. So that's one thing. But then you realize that there's other aspects of it, and one of them is just looking at the fascia Like as women, we are so emotional, we are receptive, no, we are so psychic because we feel into the energy of people, of the room. We are just like constantly receiving, right,
Hmm.
information. And our bodies are made of water. Like we're more than 80% made of water, and water has memory. Water stores memory. Water is able to receive information, and the DNA, the molecular DNA of water changes depending on what information you receive.
Yeah.
And that's like that's like mind blowing. You know, it's like, yo, this should be taught at school, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you look at it from that perspective, you know that the fascia is just this you, it's just this like sacred technology that stores information. All the emotions get stored there, and that's why somatics and conscious movement
Mhm.
helps us so much get back into our power, because we are able to just move the energy that we didn't know that got stagnant in our bodies. So when you look at it like your body as this beautiful web of fascia, you realize that every single muscle is connected to each other, creating this beautiful web. So any stored emotion here is gonna also show up in other parts of your body. And when you
Yeah.
look at it from an energetic point of view, you see the images of how the throat, the larynx, your voice box is literally a replica. It's like it almost feels like the same part as your pelvic floor, as
Yeah.
your womb. When you look at it from an anatomical point of view, it's fascinating. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, there's something very powerful here for us women to remember, right? So it's just about remembering that, yeah, we have been created in this perfect divine body for a reason, no? And then another thing that I love to talk about when talking about the connection between the throat and the womb is that we have the vagus nerve, which is this like central of information, no, like this column that goes all the way to your spine, that connects you with literally all the organs in your body, that is connected from the bottom of your spine up to the back of your neck, exactly where your womb is and your throat is. And you
Hmm.
know, this is the channel through which we can regulate our bodies and really come to this like receptive mode, the pleasure mode, no, of trusting life, of surrendering, of being at peace with ourselves. And once again, that you see the same pattern once again, as below so above, no, and you see that there is this constantly this mirroring to one part and the other. So that, like, leaving the anatomy aside, which I always love sharing about this because it's really mind-blowing if you've never heard about this before. But then when you look into the energetics, you realize that, you know, it's exactly this channel that we're talking about, like the vagus nerve, not the spine that connects one end with the other end. That is what we see in so many spiritual practices and traditions, ancestral traditions, like as the different systems of, okay, the chakras, energetic portals. You see that there's always this like picture of your body is the channel, right? Like there's an energy coming from above that is channeled through the heart and then out, no, out into the world, no. So there is
Hmm.
like this almost this magnetic field that is created, no, with the
Yeah.
different parts of your body. So I started to really look into that, and I realized there was something very powerful there. And then as I stepped into, okay, awakening more of my voice, I went to the Amazon and learned from the indigenous traditional cultures there with the Noquequin people in the rainforest in Brazil. And you know, like something that I have seen over my own studies with also like plant medicine and all the work that I've been doing, I've realized that there is something that happens when you really allow yourself to speak from a space of true connection with Mother Earth. You know, there's a voice that comes from somewhere deep in your body that doesn't come from the mind. And you can tell when someone is communicating from the mind, where there is this electric energy, like da, 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 a lot of information and channeling it. But you can feel when someone is really speaking from a space of truth. And when you're speaking from a
Yeah.
space of truth, that means that this person is speaking from their womb, because that's where your true power resides. And that voice, it's not about it sounding more like lower or more grounded, like that's just gonna be a natural byproduct of the voice that this person is gonna put out there. It's just the frequency. It's the frequency. And when you channel that energy and you realize that, you know, your desires as a soul come from this deep space, no, the depth of your body, your womb. When you learn how to channel these desires all the way to your heart, where you know you have the portal for unconditional love, forgiveness, your truth, right? Like your truth is in your chest. You know when something is truth because you can feel it in your body, you know? It's in the body. When you learn to channel that voice from here all the way to your throat, you realize that this channel opens. There is something that happens that's very hard to put into words, but when you learn to channel that truth of yours, your desires through unconditional love, knowing and recognizing that everything that you do with your voice is going to be a portal for healing because you're just here in your highest expression. You only want to do good to the world. You're only at service to humanity because you are at service to yourself and your truth. And that means already being at service to humanity. Everything that you're going to be expressing out into the world is going to come from such deep space of connection that the impact you're going to be creating is just next level. No, and of course, there's so many ways of getting to this space where you can channel your voice from the womb. But it could be work through, anatomically working with the diaphragm. That's also something that I teach my clients to do, how to create a healthier voice as well when it comes to you articulating and creating a powerful voice, like a voice that takes up the room and really like has presence, no? It's important for women to learn how to do that because I used to lose my voice all the time. Like I was just communicating myself from such a space of I need to prove myself, like coming from the mind,
Yeah.
that I just lost it. Every time that I could not share my truth, I hide away from sharing my truth. I lost my voice, and that happened like 4 times a year, like super super often. It was a
Wow.
pain, right? And it just really about being able to channel this force and knowing how to do it, how to open your heart, how to fully be at service and become this divine instrument. And when you consciously do this work of connecting the channel, opening up the channel, it just everything that you put out there is going to be creating such a big impact and ripple effect of healing. It's really going to go beyond what you can even imagine or comprehend from the mind.
Yeah. So powerful. And so much of what you shared is like connecting so many dots for me. And I recently discovered the work of Veda Austin and discovered a lot about water through her. And then, talking about the fascia as well. I was doing some work with Imelda, who hopefully I'll get on the podcast at some point as well, where she does like subconscious body readings through manipulating your fascia. And honestly, I wasn't really expecting to have much of an impact with that. I was curious, but I wasn't kind of bought into it. But she would sort of touch and manipulate in different places, and it would just be full, pure emotion flowing through me, not with a story attached to it, but just the sensation of it. And it really deepened me into somatics on a more powerful level of just getting to see in real time, yeah, you're holding this thing here. So sometimes we think these things either just go into a black hole or we think we've dealt with them. And your body remembers. So as you say, there's all of this connection. And when there is that restriction in the voice, there's going to be things that are more powerfully to lean into and to work with. So yeah, I mean, I just love the way that you connected all of that and spoke so beautifully about it also. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Oh, thank you. And can I also share something else? I feel called to share
Yeah. Uh-huh.
in what you just mentioned, no, about yeah, like working with the fashion, like liberating your emotions. That's something that really helped me in my own voice awakening journey, going into my womb and doing the yoni reflexology with my
Mm,
crystal wand. Like I realized that my womb had all these emotions stored from who knows what experiences I lived in the past. And
yeah.
once again, you don't have to intellectualize it all, you don't have to know it all, but what you do have the responsibilities to do if you want to liberate yourself from the chains of the past, no, is really leaning in and allowing for this energy, which emotion at the end of the day is just emotion, is energy in motion, no? So allowing for this emotion to be felt and to be channeled, no? And I started to do these pleasure practices as a ceremony, as a healing alchemy
Mm,
process for myself. And working with the crystal wand really changed my life because I realized there was so much information there stored that I didn't know where it came from, but it really helped me just liberate a lot of energy that was stagnant and that was also capping my ability to use my voice. Because if there is stagnant energy in my womb, there's 100%, I can assure you, stagnant energy over here, no?
Yeah.
And to that, I would also like to weave in a little bit of my own story as well with this connection, no, between woman and voice, because I feel like when I realized that I was meant to teach voice alchemy with my clients, the following month of making that declaration to the world, I went into a plant ceremony with ayahuasca with one of the Colombian taitas here in Spain who was visiting. And I went into the ceremony with this intention of seeing. You know, I wear glasses right now. I wear contact lenses. So I'm in a journey as well to also like retrain my nervous system to see, because I know I'll be able to see without having to go into surgery. Like that just a belief that I have, and I know, no, I will go through this. And I was like, okay, grandmother Aya showed me what is it that I need to see right now to really step into this new identity of, okay, I am ready to see, because I know that if my eyes decided not to see, it was because I saw something at some point that I didn't want to see, and I wanted to just cap it, no, in a way. And that's also related to, this information that the body stores. Like, we don't know what kind of like information we're still holding on to, no? So I went into that ceremony, and the first thing, like I just took in the medicine, the first thing that it showed me is a memory of a sexual abuse experience that I lived when I was a child. And I want to cry now because this is so very beautiful to be able to talk about this, no? And it really like allowed me to liberate myself from something, no, that I had to suppress subconsciously for a very long time, no? Of like, imagine for like such an intuitive child, no, to experience something like that, and just realizing it's not safe to see, it's not safe to feel so much, no, and like having all that ability to also use your voice. And I decided after receiving that image that I would tell my family. And so that was my own initiation into becoming the voice alchemist mentor that I am today, you know, deciding that like it was high service to trust that image that came through. No, because there was a part of my ego that really wanted to suppress that and pretend it didn't happen, or avoid, or just like pretend that, you know, what the plan showed me, it was not real. And that was the story that I had been playing on in my mind for subconsciously for all this time, because it was not a memory I had in my conscious mind. It was completely suppressed into the, you know, the shadow aspects of my psyche. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to trust in my channel, no? And that was also my own initiation into becoming the channel that I am now. I had to first of all recognize that had to be expressed out, and I decided to use my voice. And that was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. And I always say, like, after doing this, I don't care if you put me on a stage in front of a million of people, like I've done the hardest thing that I could ever do as a daughter, no, and as a woman, which is just speaking your truth and trusting your intuition and trusting your channel and trusting what you experience, even though it doesn't make logical sense. Daring to use your voice to liberate yourself from something that, you know, it goes way beyond yourself. Like, I just had that feeling that I was liberating the whole of my lineage for just by me leaning in and deciding to trust that, no, that vision, trusting that feeling, that pull, that intuition. Because truth is that I knew some kind of experience happened to me, because I went into the most like traumatic experiences when it comes to like relating to men. You know, I was married with like a man who was 25 years older than me, you know, and I was really not attracted to him. You know, it was like, what is going on, Georgina, that there's something in the shadows that you're not seeing, no? And that was also actually a big part of my own voice awakening journey, like deciding to get divorced and say, yo, I'm out of here, no? Like, everything just like started to fall into place, and it all had to do with me reclaiming my truth and following my desire, no? And daring to use my voice to speak the truth. So I just wanted to share that, no? Because when you look at this connection between your voice and your womb, whatever that you're holding back from sharing, from being a channel of, that you know is true, that maybe you have been even subconsciously like hiding away from sharing because of the fear of others will think you're crazy, that you make this up, that, you know, whatever, like insert whatever belief there, no, of what you were encoded with, that is preventing you from fully stepping into your power and your soul's mission, because you are just blocking the channel. You know, so I had all this information stored in my womb that I didn't know,
Yeah.
you know, and I had to go through this remembrance, and thank God for plant medicine. Like, thank God that it allowed me to see.
Yeah.
And then I was able to liberate this information to channel it through speaking my truth and daring to trust my channel. And then my life has not been the same since that day, because I chose truth. I chose liberation, you know, and it was freaking scary. It was like entering into the most scary portal of my life, but the sense of relief, of alignment, no, that I felt after doing that, it was one of the most precious feelings that I've ever felt. So I also felt cool to share this here, because I know this will also resonate with so many women who have gone through various
Yeah.
experiences that capped their expression, no, and their ability to use their voice. And this is just a message to say, you can do this. Like, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like, once you have like stepped into this portal, everything is being put into perspective. And you know, when you got yourself, and when you're being true to yourself and being a channel for this truth that lives in your heart, like, the rest of the things just fall into place, and it's really healing. So yeah,
Mm.
thank you so much
Oh
for
my
the
gosh.
space.
Georgina, thank you so much for sharing that. Like, oh, I've just got chills all over. And I think you just share so beautifully. And the main things I pulled from that is even just seeing your tears of gratitude for your liberation and sharing, I chose truth. I choose my liberation. I set myself free, despite, often we can have these stories that run through us of fear of rejection or whatever. And we realize, well, if I if I act from a space of trying to avoid that rejection, I'm actually guaranteeing my rejection because I'm rejecting myself. I'm rejecting these parts of me. And so in liberating yourself in that way, I just think is such a powerful and embodied move to really reclaim and rewrite your story and hold it in a way that is so much more powerful for yourself. So I just want to really honor and celebrate you for that.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you for the loving space for me to come in here with my truth and my emotions and all of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Emotions are very welcome in my space always. I mean, I also love the metaphor you're sharing about. I say metaphor, this is a very real story for me about going through a journey of vision physically. So I was wearing glasses for a lot of my life. And when I left my abusive relationship, right, I was ready to see things. I was ready to understand things. And now I don't wear glasses anymore. I don't wear contact lenses. So I know you're on this journey, and I'm thinking, yeah, I know it can happen for you because it happened for me
I
as
love
well. And the more you are willing to look, the more you are willing to stop avoiding your fears and avoiding your shadow, the more you really get to reclaim your power, reclaim your truth, and really be able to see in a much more powerful way. So yeah, just so much of your journey. I'm just celebrating you so much.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi. Just basking in so much love and gratitude.
Yeah, totally. I've just loved our conversations so much. And yeah, so many powerful moments of wisdom within here.
Mm.
Um, and I think also some great takeaways for the women listening who I'm sure are going to just resonate with so much of this idea of, um, unfortunately, many of us experience sexual trauma to some extent, and how to move through that, reclaim your power. Many of us experience this fear of being rejected, and also this desire to some extent manipulate how we show up in the world that can take us away from our truth and leave us not feeling in our power when we do that, when we adapt our voice to be really girly and really likable and accepted, or however it shows up for you. And so, yeah, there's just so much wisdom in there. And I'm just sure this episode is going to resonate with so many people. And I think everyone is going to want to stay in touch with you. So, could you share with people where they can find you, what you've got coming up, what proximity is like in your world, and how people can learn more?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, beautiful, for the space to share as well about my containers. So currently, as you already shared at the beginning of the episode, I'm birthing an immersion that started off like a mystery immersion, and already like so many women have already joined, feeling the pull to enter this portal together. And this is gonna be like a journey of sacred reclamation as women, of really the channel, like the artists that we are, no? So I really felt pulled to birth this immersion that's gonna be like a space where like feminine embodiment, sacred creative expression, and plant medicine come together in one offer.
Yeah.
To really like create the intentional ceremonial space for each one of us to birth our soul song. And this space is called Voices of the Earth. And this is actually a container that I felt the pull, like I was guided to start putting into motion when I went into the Amazon earlier this year. So it was all like already like a call from spirit of saying, Georgina, you're ready to share as well your own journey with plant medicine, no? And voice, because it's been very like it's really gone hand in hand, no? So now I'm ready to birth this new iteration of my body of work where I am, openly sharing a lot more about medicine of the earth, no? Plant medicine, what I've been learning with the traditions there, the Nokekoin people in the Brazilian Amazon. So this is like an immersion that I'm currently launching and that we're going to be kicking off officially probably at the end of this month, but I'm still like receiving the guidance on exactly what this content is going to look like, but the frequency is set and I'm just being a divine instrument for that. So all of that to say that yes, there is this immersion coming up, Voices of the Earth. If you felt the call to open up your channel, to start channeling your own music, not for only the creative outlet of you creating your soul song, but for the woman that you will become on the other side, no? Who is a woman honoring her voice, seeing the divinity in her voice, seeing the secret in her expression. Like that is the journey of remembrance we're going to be going into. And then apart from that, I'm also going to be starting the third round of my voice mastermind in June this year. And this is called The Calling. And I love it because we've been talking a lot about like soul's calling here and like,
Yeah.
spirit calling us to do things, no? And that's why I really felt called to call it like that, no? And this is a space where for 13 weeks in sisterhood we journey through my own voice awakening journey, like framework that myself I experienced in my life. So there I share everything that I have integrated into my own experience, into my own journey of connecting with my voice. So we go into a journey of, okay, understanding how voice is being produced, how we can produce this healthier, more strong voice. Then going into how to also use astrology, like your unique blueprint, cosmic blueprint, to really identify in which way you're here to share your voice. You're not here to communicate in the same way that someone else or to put the offers in the same way like someone else. It's about you uncovering what is this unique frequency that you hold and embodying that, like following that, no? Then we go into the third step, which is the understanding and going into embodiment practices to connect the womb and the throat. So that is also like a big part of the work that we do. But then we go into the more metaphysical aspects of voice, and I absolutely love these. So we dive into light language. You have the space to lean into channeling practices to open up your intuition, your third eye, your ability to channel things that do not make logical sense from the mind, but that turns out they create huge ripples of healing, no, for others. So I have like a whole module on like metaphysics of voice, understanding voice as the portal for creation, and how the ancient traditions really work with voice as a way to create new realities and travel through time space. Like this is ancient wisdom that we are remembering. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just remembering what has always been there, no? And then we go into also like healing with voice. So this is basically my signature program where I guide you through this whole awakening and expansion of your true authentic voice, and we journey together in this way for 13 weeks. So these are like the main like spaces that I'm currently offering in terms of voice alchemy and doing this liberation work. And then on the side, I always offer as well more like one-on-one packages that have to do with like brand voice, because myself I've been in the arts, design, creative industry, education industry for 14 years. So I have like this whole background in design and art and project management, no? That now I'm pouring into the work that I'm doing. So that was also like very guided, no? But I was like, yo, Georgina, like this is related to the work you've been doing in the industry for a very long time, no? So now I'm also guiding women to, okay, uncover what is this unique frequency you're here to share, and then go do the things, like put your voice out there in a way that's really coming from a space of truth and alignment, and create your soul's business in a way that really is in coherence with what you're meant to be putting out there, not in the way that she's doing it. Don't create the content that person is like going through. And I also guide them to give birth to a new iteration of their brand, no? Using all these creative direction skills as well. So
Yeah.
yes, in a nutshell, that's like the work that I'm putting out there. So if anyone resonates with my work and would like to get to know more about it, you can find me on Miss Afterglow on Instagram. That's where I share all about the magic that I am birthing. And yeah, thank you so much once again, Katie, for this beautiful space and for giving
Yeah.
me the space to talk about my medicine. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, so many wonderful and powerful ways for people to come and play in your world. So I'm so excited. And I'm going to be inside of the the Voices of the Earth program. So if you're joining in there, you will see me inside of there, and I'm so excited for it. Um, Georgina, before we close out, I wanted to invite you, if you felt called to, do you want to share some of your voice and some of your music with this
Yeah,
audience? Yeah.
of course. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay,
Okay.
amazing. Well, while you get set up for that, I just want to say thank you so much. I have loved this conversation so much. And if this episode was soul level powerful for you lot as well listening, and I know it must have stirred something inside of you because, yeah, this was potent. Remember, your voice is not just sound, it's your truth, it's your power, it's legacy, it's liberation. So if this really landed, please do screenshot some of this, share it to your stories, maybe add in some of your takeaways that you've had from this, or just send it to your sisters, send it to your circle, somebody that you love, because these are the conversations that change the game and can help people elevate into their next level too. And if you are ready to take this work even deeper to amplify your impact, unlock your leadership, and expand into your next level, I want to personally invite you into the High Vibe Honey Mastermind as well. It's for the woman who knows her business is an extension of her soul, the one who's here for depth, alignment, mastery, and huge impact. And we blend identity work, energetics, and strategy to create your quantum leaps. So if you want to walk this path, I would love to walk with you. You can find out more in the show notes or DM me aligned on Instagram if you're feeling this pull. So, without further ado, I'm handing over to Georgina to close us out with some beautiful music medicine.
Oh, thank you so much for this invitation. I love it. And yeah, I feel cool to also like use the feather. This is like a gift from the Amazon. And yeah, like as you may know already, like birds are like messengers, no, from the gods, and like they carry the medicine of voice because they're constantly singing their song out into the world. They're not like wasting their time thinking, is this other bird sounding better than me, or is this song more beautiful than mine? No, they're just playing their own song, no. And I feel like this is the sacred remembrance of us as human beings, realizing, yo, what I have to say, what I have to share with the world is unique, and that is something to
Mhm.
celebrate, not something to be ashamed of, no. So there's so much medicine to be learning from the birds. So that's why I love being connected to feathers, because it really brings that healing frequency, no. So okay, I feel called to, rather than like me sharing my voice solely, like I feel called to also invite and everyone watching here to also like sing along with me, right? So it's just gonna be like a quick like voice activation, but invitation here to just, you know, have a moment to connect with your voice and really like seeing it as vibrational medicine, which it is, right? Like just the acoustics of our voice has such a restorative effect in our bodies that it just brings about healing, wellness, like balance, like straight away, you know? So I invite you to lean in with us, and I'm gonna be sharing some melodies, and I'm gonna be creating like a little space in between. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, I invite you to also lean in and yeah, just have this sacred moment of connection with your voice. So shall we do this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, take a moment just to close your eyes, to find a comfortable seated position with your spine straight, with your chest open, shoulders relaxed. Invitation to take a deep inhale through the nose, inflating your belly. Letting it out, maybe making some noise to start feeling into the vibrations of your voice. Inhale once again. And now inhale one last time, deeply, deeply. Now I'm gonna start sharing some chants, and I will give you the space to do the same after me. And let's weave in some cosmic melodies here together. Hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, hey. Hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, hey. Take a deep inhale. And you can stay there for a second, just feeling into the vibrations of your voice. And I just feel cool now to share another vocal technique that I teach inside my voice mastermind, which is overtone singing. So here I invite you to just like stay open to receive the healing frequencies. This is an ancient practice that is able to, which you are able to produce like two tones at the same time, and it has like many healing benefits for yourself and your body. So I'm gonna be just sharing a little bit of this magic with you. May all the voices of the earth awaken to its truth and its full power. Thank you so much for giving me the space for this sacred prayer. Katie, I'm so grateful. And
Oh, that was so amazing. I was like, I had to take a peek then. I was like, I can't believe that sound is coming from your voice. It was so beautiful.
very
Yeah, thank you so
powerful.
much for sharing with us. And I
Mm.
just feel such a deep power in the voice and what you share. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for the space and for the invitation. It's been amazing to be here with you. Thanks everyone watching and listening to this. We cannot wait to hear your takeaways and what landed for you.